Podcast, episode 257. It's your host, David Palermo, for this one. And I am surrounded by Ben Grimaudo, our latest guy here. And Ben, you want to say hello?
Yeah, how's it going? We got Von Miller, 120 million on the 10-year anniversary of Buddy Nix giving Mario Williams 100 million. Brandon Beane says, "Hey, let's go and throwback, celebrate that anniversary, sign a big time pass rusher." Slightly different circumstances between the two signings. Mario Williams was a splash signing for a team that didn't really have a lot of talent. And then Von Miller, you can be looked at as the piece that can get the Bills over the edge, which is right there with the Kansas City Chiefs competing for that AFC champion spot and getting to a Super Bowl. And you look at what Denver did last season. They went out, they spent big money as well. Maybe not as far as much money as the Bills gave up, but they gave up draft picks for a half-year rental on Miller, and it ended up getting them a Super Bowl. So I think in hindsight, Sean McVay is going to go back and do that trade any time of the week, especially when it gets you a Super Bowl. Obviously, for the Rams, they would have liked to lock up Von Miller, but for the Bills, they fill a big-time hole, and they were able to lure a star defensive player away from the defending Super Bowl champions, which is something that really, I think, shows just how much, of a change this organization has gone through over these past couple of seasons.
What I love about this is, Ben knows great. Um, when you hit me with the news, I'm just like, what the fuck? Frankly, I'm like, why the fuck are we doing this? $120 million, and I am not. Let me make something clear to you. I am not an age person where, I'm 37. I picked up adult hockey at 31. I'm not good at hockey. I couldn't stop on skates, but eventually, the team I started to get better later on. You empower good people and you surround yourself with people. And next, people who played in college are on the team, and I'm off the team because I'm like not good enough. And I feel that Mario Williams elevated the team. And then the Bills traded for Jerry Hughes. That was my prime. I was about your age. I'm 37 now. I think I was like 23 when Shanghai was in, 24. And was that long ago? And what you can do with two great pass rushers is amazing. And since I don't know, when I saw the contract, I'm like, this isn't 7 years ago. Mario Williams, I understood, and you were telling me that this is the same parallel, or maybe it was Adam Deacon was telling me it's the same parallel as the Mario Williams contract as well. So, like the same kind of money. Well, this guy's 33, and you're backing up the Brinks truck for him. That said, you and I were talking, and we go, okay, we had Jerry Hughes contract. We also had Addison. Maybe the theory is we have three young guys in the stable. Epinesa, and they all have one thing in common, Ben. They need fucking playing time. All of them. Allegedly, Von Miller's a great teacher. Great, but that's why you have coaches. So here's where I'm at with it. I thought he only had 9.5 sacks for the whole season. And when he went to the Rams at first, he had, I thought, barely any production. And I'm actually looking it up now. When I throw it back to you, I'll come back with his stats. So what I'm getting at is I love Darius, and Von Miller's going to fall, and Darius fell to the Bills. And it's kind of like a long time coming because I was stoked on Von Miller, what he could bring to the table. And again, age aside, I don't mind it. I don't feel I don't believe in that, but I'm kind of putting my foot in my mouth when I'm saying he shouldn't get that high of a contract. I think that's just wild. And frankly, I feel I have a very good reason to be suspect on this because I've never seen a team put so many resources from financial all the way through the draft, high-end draft, on the defensive line. And this is
Well,
just, I mean, the amount of money. I mean, look at Starlo Tule's contract. They had a read on that guy, and they know they need a defensive tackle to keep the linebackers clean their scheme. I get it. Okay. But this is from the same organization that let Marcel Darius go for a bag of footballs, who, again, wasn't playing great. I understand. And, he seemed to have gotten paid and did whatever and didn't have much production after. But, like, if we're kicking tires, I mean, it's just, this isn't a tire kick for Von Miller, I guess. It's just a lot of money, and I don't know if this solves the problem. I'm not sure. I hope it does. I just don't want fans to put so much on this fucking dude's back like fans do. And then you get players talking shit when they leave the fucking building. And isn't it funny that after the combine happens and during the combine, you start hearing reports that some assistants don't get along with McDermott? Well, is it rocket science to see Daboll's in New York? He brings over Feliciano, which Feliciano's a heady player as far as what we want to know. And then Bobby Johnson with him. And then, oh, by the way, Tyrod Taylor. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to do exactly what they did in Buffalo, which is what Buffalo was already doing before McDermott was fucking here. Okay? And so I'm just wondering with the defensive line here, these players got to get coached up. So you're telling me Von Miller is going to make Greg Rousseau, Basham, and Epinesa just fucking fly? And I understand that Basham and even Rousseau can be moved inside. Okay. I understand different packages. I get all that, but we're on basics here. And I don't know. That's a lot of money for Von Miller. But I will say, if you had to tell me this, Ben, I'll switch it back to you. If you were to tell me that Hughes is gone, which I think was a unfair thing in a sense, because, like, who did he have? Who's he playing with? I liked Harrison Phillips, so I guess I should be not complaining then and saying that, because I thought he was fine. Congrats on his contract in Minnesota. But for you, do you like the idea of you don't have Addison allegedly, no Jerry Hughes allegedly, so unless they sign back really cheap or something, right? So
well,
and you just give the money to one guy? Because Trent Murphy was a horrible signing too.
Yeah. Here's the thing, Dave. I mean, everyone wanted Chandler Jones, and everyone was willing to give this huge contract to Chandler Jones. Jones ultimately signed 3 years, $52 million on the Raiders, total guaranteed $34 million. Average salary is $17,500,000. Let's look at Von Miller, guaranteed $45 million. So he's making about $11 million more guaranteed. His contract is longer, but looking at the ages, I mean, Jones is only a year younger than Von Miller. So if you're going to give that money to Chandler Jones, I mean, there's really no difference giving it to Von Miller after you're not able to get Chandler Jones. So I think the Bills very clearly wanted Chandler Jones, and just based off of everything that was on Twitter the past couple weeks or the past couple days, Jones ultimately, he came down to that decision himself. The Bills were one of the finalists, but if you lose out on Chandler Jones, on Twitter yesterday, for that 2-hour window between when the team ultimately traded or not traded, between the period of time when the news broke that Chandler Jones was signing elsewhere. Meanwhile, the Bills ended up, signing Von Miller. There was a panic on Bills Twitter. The narrative was, what is Beane doing? The Bills have this clear need at pass rusher, and he's not going out and doing anything because the Steelers signed Miles Jack to a 2-year, $16 million contract. And Miles Jack, a former high first-round pick, who had some, issues with Jacksonville, but I think most players who were on that Jacksonville team, and Jacksonville at the time was a very talented squad. I think most players from that team had a slight fall from grace too. I mean, you look at Leonard Fournette, but the Bills Mafia yesterday, there was a lot of criticism on Beane. So the fact that the Bills were able to still make this pickup.
everybody, I have to say, like, everybody isn't me. I didn't want Chandler Jones, and I feel like there's a false read on Twitter what people want because there's so many
Well, the
people.
thing is, who do you want then? Because who else is available
Who
as
says we had the
a
money
pass
for this?
rusher?
I didn't know we had money all of a sudden. That's what's so weird that
Well, it seems like
this
we
is
do
on the
now,
table.
based off of how the contracts we reworked. I mean, it seems like that is something. Beane is working his magic. We were able, to get Von Miller, and the Bills still may not be done. I mean, we'll see what happens today. I think at least cornerback number 2, we could see a corner. We could also maybe see Cordero Patterson. Hopefully, I mean, that's who a lot of guys want.
I would like Cordell Patterson. I think he's an X factor.
I mean, one of our listeners just texted me, and he said he hopes we still get a corner. So, I mean, that seems like that's
No, I
what
think that's where they're gonna go. I think that's where we're gonna
the
go in the
general
draft.
consensus is.
I think the draft you go corner.
Corner?
Yeah, because it's the cheapest way to fill out the position. The draft is always the cheapest. Now remember, you like the Buddy Nix point, right? That's the whole thing with Beane that I don't fucking get is the draft is the cheapest. And meanwhile, Zay Jones has signed a fucking what, $10 million a year deal or something, I heard. Is that right? So I'm not a Zay Jones apologist at all. I just think that the pressures of the NFL are real. He's from his father was a professional athlete. Holy shit, talk about pressure, so I'm happy for him. I'm happy for Harrison Phillips getting a deal in Minnesota. Didn't you tell me the deal? Or was that my friend Adam? I think it was I think he's getting like
per year, like 19 million, 18 million, something about that.
Good for him. You see these graphs of I said this last podcast too. You see the graph of Harrison Phillips for what the Bills have in cap space should be about like $1 million. And I'm like, what? No. And then who plays for that? Like, that's stupid. This dude did everything he needed to. And then you got a guy like Star Tule who he actually had a couple nice plays this year. Like this year I thought was not horrible. But like as far as hearing a guy make an impact on the team, I could tell you that they were pretty much equal. Or I give the edge of Harrison Phillips because he's not a bunch of money. And he was a 3rd round pick and he developed. He came off an ACL injury. It takes 2 years to do that, So sorry, I'm looking down at my dog over here.
Oh, no, you're good.
So as far as Von Miller, I think it's a move they need to do. I'd rather have the Bills give it to a guy who's been voted into the Pro Bowl. Seems like every year except for this year, it doesn't say Pro Bowl on Pro Football Reference. I will say, I don't know what to think. He had 19 tackles for loss, and the last time he had that many was in 2012, his second year in the league, and he had 28. And the time before that was his rookie year, he had 19. And I don't know if
he had 4 sacks in the playoffs. I mean, he still can play at a high level. I think the thing that a lot of people didn't like is like when they say, 6 years, $120 million, because at that point it's like, who's going to be paying a 39-year-old Von Miller $20 million a year? Like,
right.
That's just absurd. But I think when the specifics of the contract actually broke, I think it's only going to be like a 3 to 4 years.
Right. That makes sense. So one thing I want to know is why the fuck do agents got to do that? They got to just 6 year, 120 million. It's like it sends guys with logic like you and me into a panic, and then I got to sit here and you just wasted my fucking time.
Well, part of it is also how the GM is building the contract to position the salary cap. So part of it is also on Brandon Beane.
All right, so Von Miller, I like it. I don't want to say I can't complain. It's gonna definitely grow on me big time. But yeah, it is what it is here.
I mean, if Von Miller has double-digit sacks this season, and the Bills win the Super Bowl. Everyone's saying this is the move the Bills should have made midseason last year, when they were on the verge of making the Super Bowl, and then you had this whole 13 seconds debacle. But I mean, here's basically my takeaway from this.
Ben, can I pause you for 1 sec?
Mhm.
If you want, talk it over. I gotta let my dog out here while we're live. I'm sorry, it's an emergency for her.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
But yeah, talk out the if you want, could you talk out the Von Miller contract details that you were telling me?
Yeah, so I mean, basically right now, it says it's a 6-year, $120 million deal, including 51,435,000 guaranteed, with an average annual salary of 20 million. So, and then yeah, the total guaranteed is 51,435,000. And Spotrac doesn't list the cap hit yet. So yeah, so Aaron Wilson on Twitter says that 32 fully guaranteed at signing, 52 million guaranteed. So I think okay, here's the tweet from Spotrac. So on his previous contract, Miller got 70 million guaranteed, 42 million guaranteed at signing. So this contract, 52 million guaranteed, 32 million fully guaranteed at signing. So for practical purposes, this is more like a 3-year contract. So 3 year, think of it more as, a three-year deal versus a 6-year deal. So I mean, nice contract for Miller, not really, anywhere close to 120 million, like people are saying, 53 million guaranteed, but for a Super Bowl and for the Bills, probably their biggest weakness overall. I think that is worth it. You got to kind of look at the risk, total reward, and add it up together. The Rams, they traded a second-round pick last year for Miller, and was that second-round pick worth it for Miller? Absolutely, it was worth it for Miller. They got a Super Bowl. Was, all the picks they gave up for Matthew Stafford worth it? Absolutely. They got a Super Bowl. You look at other teams who are in on Stafford, the Colts, for instance, they missed the playoffs after going all in on Carson Wentz, and they ended up shipping him out to Washington. I think if Indy goes back, they would redo their trade package for Matthew Stafford after Matthew Stafford won a Super Bowl. And I think, there is reports that the Bills could have, or Beane could have made a call to Denver about Miller. Part of it was maybe him being or the Bills being in the AFC. Denver did not want to deal him within the AFC. However, now he's a Buffalo Bill. The Bills, took care of their greatest need. That is that pass rusher. And as Dave said, they have other guys who, are question marks at pass rusher now. You got Greg Rousseau. He flashed as a rookie. So did Ed Oliver. Has had a huge come up this past year, and he earned his 5th-year option. Greg Oliver, he's another piece on that defensive line. They signed Tim Settle, who was buried on that Washington defensive line depth chart, and they had 3 former first-round picks ahead of Settle on that defensive line. So, I mean, bringing back Jordan Phillips, I really like how this defensive tackle unit is rounding out. Let's ship on Star out of here. Let's bring back Shaq Lawson on a team-friendly deal. I mean, the veteran presence of Miller and Lawson. Let's hope these young guys develop. I mean, if Epineza, Basham, and Rousseau develop, you got Shaq Lawson, who isn't a great pass rusher, but he fits the scheme. He knows the scheme. He's a good run defender, and he's a great locker room guy.
Hey, I don't know how long you've been railing. I don't know one guy. I'll have you get back to me with that with Settle. But what I will tell you is my dog did poop, so thank you for that. She's a little handicapped. Her hips are going. I had to take her to heaven soon. But like as far as the defensive tackle is concerned in real life here, it was really great to see Jordan Phillips come back because where there's some blunders, I brought out a pen and notepad, and
didn't we talk about? I said this the other day about Jordan Phillips. Did I not before Arizona even cut him or before Buffalo even brought him back? I mentioned Jordan Phillips. I mentioned the defensive line. And I do have to correct myself. Jordan Phillips did not have double-digit sacks in 2019. Last double-digit sacks was 2016 for the Bills. Phillips had 9.5 sacks in 2019, which was good for the team lead in sacks. And I don't think any Bills player has come close to that since. But yeah, I mean, Jordan Phillips, did I not say the Bills should never have gotten rid of him 2 days ago on our podcast before Arizona even cut him?
so here's the thing. When Jordan, here's where I'm at. This is I wrote down on this pad. I was gonna make a Venn diagram, but I'm too fucking slow for this. And of course it's backwards. So this is what we do here. So it says no trades, scrape the bottom of the barrel for free agents. That was like the GM I was used to before Beane. Okay. That's Doug Whaley, that's Buddy Nix. And what I liked is you get people who would systematically fit in positions and you would draft out and they'd be impact 1 through 3. That's what you shoot for. Day one starters. And what's cool about the NFL is there's so many positions that if you grade everybody top 3 to 5 for your scheme specific, aka the shortest amount of time for the scheme to translate over to said player, you should be successful. Now, what happens is you hear about the marketing. But I'm hearing that Sammy Watkins was Ross Brandon's pick. It's like, fuck, man. Like that makes total sense now because way we would bring in these people, they'd be solid. And Zach Brown made the Pro Bowl. This is 1 year here. It's just little things like that. And those guys are nothing. And the thing that though is he immediately got Jordan off of the release, and they were shocked that they released him, and he came in and balled out. And I can't believe that. I was shocked when the Bills didn't re-sign him because I think he might have. Oh my golly, I don't even. There's so much to look up with these stats right now, and my new iPad thing just keeps going. But I swear he had a lot of sacks and made a big impact his year in Buffalo. And game 1 in Buffalo, he made a huge impact for the team. I remember that. And the Bills got him at the right time because the roster was down, and or they didn't have the best win-loss record. So they were able to get him through waivers. And I was shocked because if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he like a 2nd-round pick as well? So if you pair him up with Settle, you got your defensive tackle position settled. Okay, no pun.
You have it settled. Yeah, he was a 2nd-round pick originally. On the Dolphins. Phillips was.
Yep, and dude, I should look up the stats. I'm sorry. Yeah, Phillips.
9.5 sacks. In Buffalo, 2019, 2018, he only had 1 sack, but I mean that whole team was 2018 was not a very good team.
So let's see.
2018 was a very, forgettable year for the Bills. That was basically year 2 of the rebuild. By that time, they basically had stripped everything left from the Rex.
So you're telling me as a defensive tackle, he got 9.5 sacks, dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were talking about the other day how Darius had 10 sacks and they got rid of him.
He is mirroring Von Miller from the defensive tackle position. and the Bills didn't slide a contract to him. Do you know why? Because they made an awful Murphy. That signing was fucking horrible. And here's why. Because Adrian Peterson ruined it, just like Joe Namath did for rookie quarterbacks. Adrian Peterson ruined it with his ACL recovery. Everybody expects you to come back so quick. No, it takes 2 years. That's why I gave Harrison Phillips the benefit of the doubt last season, not 2021, but the season before, a little bit. Because
and
coming
it's
back from the
also
ACL.
different for quarterbacks too. I mean,
hold on. I'm talking Adrian Peterson was running back.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is for the defensive end Trent Murphy to come in, how much impact was this dude going to have after an ACL thing within the 2-year window? And he got paid, I guess, average GN money, I believe, is like 8 to 9 to 10 million, which is crazy to think, because Mario Williams was 10 million a year, remember? So, I don't know. I guess actually paid for somebody who's fucking done it. That's cool. Instead of having like Star O'Toole, these guys that Beane had a one up on, like the inside window, which was Calvin Johnson, Star O'Toole, like they don't. We talk about it all the time. We and you got along right off the bat when we met in Miami, because you're like, I didn't think Rex was the worst. And I'm like, no, I don't think he was the worst either. I thought he actually had some interesting concepts, like an offense that cuts through the modern NFL was built by him. Huh. And it would still hold up today if you put that lineup out there. Swear to God. LaShawn McCoy, when he came to the Bills, Tyrod Taylor, the way football is now, and like that's, it's incredible. I like seeing it. It's just the Bills got to get their shit together on the defensive line. Tremaine Edmonds, I think I saw a report on Bills or Buffalo Fanatics that they're some tweet they captured of maybe the Bills trade him to the Steelers, which I hope. I think he needs a restart. I put a lot of pressure on it, and not on him. It's unfair, but on Brandon Beane, giving up 3 starting picks for that kid, and not being an impact player. I don't care if you're 19, you still have to sign into a second contract. What, at 24? So get your shit together, and you got to be elite. And at least Von Miller has proven to be elite. I'll be honest, him or Chandler Jones, I didn't think they were even options, not just because of money, but because of the age. But when Jordan Phillips and Settle come in, I can't wait to see what happens, man. And Shaq Lawson too, by the way. I'm at Trent Murphy point. I was saying the Bills need to re-sign him. He's a young kid, man. He was young when he came in. I get he's a little immature or whatever the fuck.
Well, and here's the thing. It's
hold on. He outplayed Trent Murphy, bro. Like, you put those two out there, he set the edge better.
Rex had him playing as an outside linebacker. Can we talk about that? Like, how, like, what position he was being played at when he was first drafted to the team.
Was pretty stupid.
His injuries, he dealt with.
And he
injuries.
wasn't. Yo. If you look up, I swear to God, if you look up Shaq Lawson's rookie year, because I think I did this, compared to Trent Murphy, I swear to God, it's better. Like a hurt Shaq Lawson year, wrong scheme. Yeah. I'll look this up. Pro Football Reference, Shaq Lawson. I'm telling you, I really. Maybe I have a thing for him because he actually opens my DMs when I send them from the podcast. At least he looks at them. You see the little head pop up. But bro, I'm telling you, man, I think if they can get him in again, if Von Miller's a teacher, great. But at the draft time, the Bills have a stable of defensive ends. I don't know what I love about the coach is he protects that locker room great. That's one of my favorite things with McDermott. He's a leader of men. If you can get better at letting go of processes, he needs to let go of processes more. I don't think he's a good game manager. There's some decisions there like benching McKenzie, all sorts of shit that's straight up fucking disrespectful. And, I don't like that for the locker room. Same with the Tyrod thing years ago.
I think even outside of Von Miller, this is a young group of defensive ends. You still are going to need some type of veteran presence to round it out. That's why Shaq Lawson's a perfect fit, in my opinion. He's relatively cheap. I mean, not relatively. He is going to be cheap, relatively young. I mean, he played out his first contract in Buffalo, and then he played 2 years after that. So I think he's 27 now. So you're bringing in a 27-year-old versus a 33-year-old in Miller. So he has that. I mean, his best production year in Buffalo is 6.5 sacks, and that's at being a rotational defensive end. That is basically what his role kind of boiled down to after a while, because Shaq, was labeled as a bust ultimately until his last year in Buffalo. He kind of was able to shed the bust label after kind of finding his home as a run stopping rotational defensive end who will never really be an elite pass rusher.
Bro, they didn't give him any nearly. If you saw a snap count on Shaq Lawson, they didn't give him much opportunity.
I'm gonna go even further and say they gave him zero opportunity. I mean, if we're being real, I mean, when Lawson came in here, he should have been the number 3 defensive end behind Mario Williams and Jerry Hughes. And he should have learned behind Mario Williams, and he should have been a 4-3 defensive end, not a 3-4 outside linebacker. Same situation that happened with Mario Williams. And why the hell is he dropping back into coverage, covering tight ends when he's a 4-3 defensive end? Like, that literally makes no sense.
Yeah, that was stupid as fuck.
And that's why Rex
I said, Rex
gone.
wasn't that bad. Like that was kind of dumb, but at the same time, I think it's the evolution of football. At the same time, in Rex's defense, the guy is a bloodline fucking guy in football. He is going to look at the evolution of football. So when that happened, a defensive end got an interception after he dropped into fucking coverage. So in Rex's defense, I was like, maybe Mario, do what you're saying to become a better player or evolve your game. Maybe it adds another element in chess. Like, can you believe they dropped Mario Williams back?
But
holy shit, maybe we can't throw on that side because he's so tall.
But
I don't fucking know.
But you know what when you have the top, one of the top pass rushing units in the league at the time, one of the best defensive lines, the best defenses in the NFL with Jim Schwartz, it's like, let's look at all this great next level thinking.
I got one better for you.
What?
It was already proven with Mike Pettin to work with those guys. And then Rex came in and fucked it up. Mike Pettin ran the same defense as Rex, obviously from New York Jets, right? Who was a defensive coordinator before Schwartz. With that personnel, that's why I was like, this is going to work. Then he brought in Tyrod Taylor. I'm like, interesting. This is great because now free agents are going to come to Buffalo. They're going to come to Buffalo, and they did.
And now, we're 2 head coaches, or 1 head coach later from 2 head coaches later from when Mike Pettin was the defensive coordinator. Both head coaches are defensive-minded head coaches, and yet the defense has not been the same since that year. I mean, they were the number 1 statistical defensive football last regular season, but they weren't the best defense in football, not even close with how they played in that playoff game against the Chiefs. I mean, the best defense in football is not giving up 35 yards in 13 seconds, to lose out the chance of hosting an AFC championship game.
People got to get real and start watching stats, and they got to start going after context. And they get us divided on stats between ourselves, whichever it is, pandemic, the NFL, sports, each other. And I hate it. It's annoying because it's not accurate. Situationally, it's just the Bills were piling on so many points you got a defensive coach. You don't think he wants to pile on the points to make his defense look better? Come on, man. Like we watch those games. You can run on the Bills. No fucking doubt. Why do you think they address that D line? Because they know you can run on the Bills. And only coaches who can actually be honest with themselves would actually do that. And at the same time, I mean, the Bills were literally a hair away from or the wind blowing a different direction from winning the Titans game, which has the best running back in the league. So, and not for nothing, that big run from Derrick Henry was 2 holds right there on the
It was more
play.
like 3 holds.
Yeah, and there's 2 and 1. Yeah, there's one later on, and then the NFL's
mean,
like, oh, look at this great run. So my point being to you, Ben, is it's inflated because those teams just had to throw a lot now. They didn't have to run the ball. So they didn't. It was smart on coach to mask all that. You know what I mean? It was smart on him to do that. And that's why I think Bill Belichick would pile up points, is because then it also helps you in the rankings. It helps you, you know what I mean, with your point differentials and shit. So, you know, and also it gives your team a vibe. You know, you guys vibe. You guys are winning. You're crushing. You're chill. You're relaxed. You're just executing the plays, and you're used to it. It's just it's a tough sell for me. When back to Trent Murphy here, and I really couldn't wait to read this off to you, so I took over just to cut you off to bring it back to here.
Yeah.
So 2018, Trent Murphy's first year in Buffalo, 4 sacks, 24 combined tackles, 14 solo, 10 assisted, tackles for loss 5, QB hits 9, and Shaq Lawson, rookie year in Buffalo, and an unorganized bullshit with Rex, right? 2 sacks, 13 combined tackles, 7 solos, 6 assisted, 3 tackles for loss, 3 QB hits. Okay, yeah, maybe Trent Murphy edged him out for all that money, right? So Shaq Lawson had 4 less tackles his rookie year in unorganized shit. Shaq Lawson's second year compared to Trent Murphy's first year. I mean, dude, you're you're talking 4 sacks for Shaq Lawson's second year, 30 or 17 solo tackles. Again, not much. What did Trent Murphy have in Buffalo? His first year, 14. Second year, he had 24. You know, so it's just a thing where you're putting these guys together to see who survives. You know what I mean? And to see who works with who. And in hindsight, it seems like Trent Murphy's a hard worker, and they trust him. And I feel like you have Shaq Lawson at the time just on the opposite spectrum. So what it would seem. Where when you're hearing them talk about things I was not made aware of, which is like being more focused and it's like, wait, what? You're not? Why?
Well, I think this all just boils down to is like the Bills not signing great pass rushers and only signing good or maybe above average pass rushers who are just, looking to bank in on a big payday because they had career seasons. I mean, let's be real. I mean, at their peak, what is prime Trent Murphy and Addison or Mario Addison? They're like 10 sack guys basically, and this is at their peak. So, I mean, do the Bills really expect guys who have been, average guys to always maximize their potential with them? Probably not. I mean, at least Von Miller, you look at his last 3 seasons, he's giving you about 10 sacks a season. So if you're able to get roughly that or more, that's good value. But when you're paying money to Mario Addison and Trent Murphy to only have them give you 4 to 5 sacks and to not stay healthy just isn't worth it. So to me, this is almost like Beane is kind of looking at, I made some mistakes. If we would have gotten a premier pass rusher before, we might not even, be in the situation where we're needing to get this guy because, that's something that they didn't need. But,
I thought Mario Edison was solid. I mean, again,
a
little bit better.
Good, but you need better than solid. I mean,
let's put it this way. Again, you're saying that this is also a guy who's with Carolina from 2013 through 2019, and Brandon Beane, they just can't. And Rex will get shredded for, he's doing his cronies. At least they call on the radio. It's like, no, he brought his coaching staff. He barely brought in anybody from the Jets. What, Harvin? Holy shit. And I think a fullback maybe at one time for 1 second, and then he was cut. So it's like, in Mario Addison, he had 7 sacks last year. 7. And I believe that led the team. 8 tackles for loss, 29, or no, I'm sorry, 20 solo tackles, 29 combined. And again, it's a defensive line rotation. I've said this many times. I watch the Vikings a lot. I used to root for them a lot, especially my father's a Vikings fan. And I got used to watching that Williams wall rotation and Jared Allen, and then the media going, why isn't Jared Allen out there on more snaps? You had a third and whatever. Blah 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 blah. So I expected this. They spend so many resources. If you had like a fucking pie chart, I would say like it seems like a third of the fucking cap is on the defensive line.
If you look at the defensive line compared to linebackers, compared to corners, compared to offensive line, everything is on defensive line. But the games are won in the trenches. That defense, you look at that defense. I mean, let's get rid of. I mean, I know you don't love Tremaine Edmonds, but the back end of that defense is about as good as you can get with Matt Milano, 3 All-Pros in the secondary. I mean, that back end of the defense, you can't really get too much better, for linebackers and a secondary. So what other resources do they need to invest in? And they've missed out on players. So that's why they needed to bring in Miller. I mean, Addison, I'm sorry, 7 sacks. It was good, but they need
Didn't he
more
lead
production.
the team? Didn't he like lead the team in sacks though? That's what I'm trying to say is they're Brandon Beane is not good at finding defensive line talent, and the coach can't coach him up clearly. Ed Oliver was the best defensive lineman on the team this year, hands down. Okay, I don't know. It's very, very, very disappointing because I don't think their scouting department is that good. Somehow they can't get players to come in and be impactful. Greg Rousseau, I could not get enough of Greg Rousseau when I was watching Cover One with Greg Thompson and Aaron Quinn. Shout out to those guys. I could not get enough, man. I could not get enough of Greg Rousseau. I was like, oh, dude, fucking Mario Williams 2.0. And, oh, really? Where the dust is settled? Show me the other stats of linemen because, unfortunately, it's hard for me to peg Addison in there as some just washed up player when he was there with Ed Oliver as the best defensive lineman on the team. You want to talk a fucking waste of money? Oh my golly. Like,
I mean,
it's not him.
I mean, I don't. Okay, Addison could have been the best defensive end, but
yeah, I mean, let me tell you that he was overpaid a little bit again, but
it's Von Miller we're talking about.
No, not that. I'm talking Addison was still overpaid a little bit, and they had a leg up on him. So I think you're right. He should have had a little bit more production. I'll give you that.
Okay, but it's Von Miller we're talking about versus Mario Addison. Like Von Miller, 2-time Super Bowl champion, former Super Bowl MVP. Out of every active NFL player, he has the most sacks out of every active NFL player. First ballot Hall of Famer. We're talking about Von Miller. Mario Addison, I mean, does he even have a single Pro Bowl to his name? No disrespect to Mario Addison. Fine player, multiple. I think he had 3 consecutive 10-sack seasons at one point, which is fine. That is good quality defensive end. I mean, I would maybe take Addison and Miller over maybe Miller and Hughes, but I think Addison and Hughes are both, I don't think they're going to bring back either of them at this point.
Let me run this by you.
I think Hughes and Addison bringing Miller kind of solidifies that they're doing away with him, and I fully expect it to be Miller and Rousseau next year with Basham, Shaq Lawson if they bring him back. If not, they'll probably add another veteran, and then Epineza rotating. So I fully expect neither Addison or Hughes to be back next year.
Yeah, he so Mario Addison was signed in Carolina 2017 to 2019, 3-year contract for $22.5 million, 8 million signing bonus, 7.5 average salary, guaranteed at signing 9 million, in total guaranteed 9 million, and then he became a free agent, signed with the Bills, 3 years, $30.45 million, a $6 million signing bonus, average salary of 10.15. So yeah, 10 million plus 100,000, 50, and then 13 million guaranteed at signing, 15 million in change guaranteed at signing, or total guaranteed. Um, and then free agent in 2022. So like, I don't understand how it's a 3-year contract because I'm not that bright. This isn't what I do. And then he's an unrestricted free agent in 2022 when it says 3-year contract. So, um, if the total guaranteed, I don't know if that was the max off the cap. I don't know how this works because I don't have the rest of the breakout. When they're on the team, it's a lot easier to see because then they just put like the dead cap and everything on there. And yeah, they don't even have a total. Okay, so he made a total from the Bills in 2021, $14 million. In 2021, or it was 2020. In 2021, he made $5.9 million, Mario Addison. So then I'm curious when we bring up the Jerry Hughes thing. Again, like you said, we're pretty much. I just want to see Von Miller fucking out there, and this could be a great spot where maybe I guess with age you limit his snaps. Not fuck that. He just needs to just keep doing what he does. I love his demeanor. If he's a great teacher, I think the team helps turn this around. Do you have anything left on Von Miller? I don't hate it. You know what I'm saying? I don't hate it. It's just people are
I think
acting on Twitter like he's 27 on his
okay.
first contract.
I
That's a
mean,
little bit much.
I mean, I think he's a little old, and I mean, based off of what Spot Rack put on Twitter, think of it as like a 3-year deal, 51 million guaranteed. So that's a bit more of what we should really be looking at. He is a little older. I mean, we have other pieces we got to worry about other than Von Miller. Who's going to be corner number 2? How is the offensive line group going to be rounded out? We still need a backup quarterback. But I mean, we got another tight end.
17 millions in sack. $17 million a year.
Yeah.
So I hope he has more than 2.5 more than Mario Addison.
Yeah, no, I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
I agree with
so that'll
you.
Be 4.5 million a sack more.
If he doesn't, have at least double-digit sacks and he struggles, I'm gonna be in the same exact boat you are.
I think it's unfair.
Why did we bring him in
No,
versus Addison?
I just think it's unfair to have that expectation on him. And in general, and then if he's not going to do that and it's unfair, how do we give him that much money? Like, we can't do like 14 million a year.
I mean,
you know
it's
what I
Von
don't
Miller.
fucking.
It's a competitive market. We had to fight with the defending Super Bowl champions who play in Los Angeles. Compete with them to get this signing done. The fact that we were able to lure away, Von Miller, first ballot, or Hall of Famer, from the Super Bowl champs, it says a lot about how this organization has come in my mind. And you at that point, you kind of have to get into a kind of a little bit of a bidding war.
I'm sorry. It's just, I'm looking at, again, the history of the general manager, especially at the defensive line. I mean, a first and a second round draft pick on the line last year. DN, actually, just that position. Year before that, Epinesa second round. Ed Oliver was the year before that, first round.
Mm-hmm.
So, just, well, why did you couldn't draft a cornerback maybe that could be developed in the second round by now for when Levi Wallace drops off? Or you
I
can't
agree.
do
I agree.
you know what I mean? And then
we've needed a corner for a while,
and that's
and
what the
now
Bills.
it's down to Dane. It's now.
So
it's up to Dane Jackson to hold it
Here's
down
what I
for
want to
us.
know. If you were to fucking tell me, and this is just comedy here, and this is also true, if you're to tell me that the Bills would somehow find a way to fucking give a guy another life-changing contract on the D line,
Who's 33?
on the D line, I would be like, get out of here, dude. Just come bang my butthole with anything you can think of. Soap, a fucking bong, I don't care, a gutter, a fence post. Just come fuck me. That's cool. Because there's no fucking way. Next thing you know, oh, guess what we did? What? We spent all of our money on the fucking defensive line again. Cool. Well, at least it's in one fucking player. You know? So Shaq Lawson, I'm even looking at his shit. He barely did anything. That dude should be here for fucking peanuts. He should be lucky to walk into the Bills room.
And that's what I said earlier. We
that's
can
what I
pick
want to
up
see.
Shaq
Because,
Lawson for next to nothing.
Bro, you bring in Shaq Lawson with Basham and Rousseau and Epinesa, they better watch the fuck out. That kid's going to be pissed when he's making not as much. He's already made enough money. I mean, you know, he signed with the fucking Jets. He signed with the fucking Dolphins. Either way, you're getting paid every fucking time. And like, if you're healthy and you're making $100,000 a year, good for you. Good for you. And you know what? That dude will come in, and I hope he fucking comes here because that's what the Bills need, man. They need that kid. He's good enough on the edge. I love that. Like when Leonard Fournette in the stadium, I was at that game. Like he was like, "Yo, fuck you," you know, against the Jaguars or Fournette, like ready to, like they were fighting. Like they both got kicked out of the game. I love that shit. And want to know something? The team has been soft, I thought, last year since that.
I agree.
I thought and Jordan Phillips brought this fucking edge, bro.
I'm with you.
And Feliciano on the offensive line brought a tenacity, you know.
I mean, you know what? John Feliciano, screw him. Let's bring back Richie Incognito.
I was just thinking that. I have the Incognito jersey in my room. Don't ask. But yeah, dude, I was thinking that too. But yo, Roger Saffold. I wanted to bring this up. Should turn on my PlayStation here. Roger Saffold, for people who don't fucking know, we had the breaking news on the other podcast. Ben didn't know because he's just been in Bill's heaven here. But I've been ahead on the Roger Saffold tip. I'll be on Twitch soon. Me and my boy, Denny, we've been doing the Madden challenges together, maybe over months, and it's been fun. So, Man Ultimate Team, what we usually do as friends is, we'll pick a game. Sometimes it's Smash Brothers for a while. My friend Mike's really good at it, and then we'll just beat the shit out of each other, and then whoever's really good will coach up the other person. So that, you know. So I've been doing this with Madden. So what I would do for my online squad is I would have I would end up having there's Madden right there. I would end up having him run scout team pretty much. So he would run Lamar Jackson and the Ravens because these fucking assholes love to just run Lamar Jackson and Ravens. So what I did is he ran scout team, and then using Man Ultimate Team, I got hooked years back where I'd lost like a $2 to maybe a few $100 in a month on Man Ultimate Team. So I was like, well, actually, dude, you can learn how to do some routes and concepts. And the reason I got into football, Ben, actually was because of Tecmo Bowl and Madden as a kid. Mm-hmm. And what I love hearing about John Madden, RIP, bro, is when he passed away, all these quotes came out, and he said, no, I want an 11-on-11 football game, and I want people to learn and get educated about football. And I love that. And to me, I grew up playing chess with my mom. I'm not a bro. I never played an organized look of football. My mom's like, yeah, you're not getting killed. She's from Italy, so it's a bad accent. And I was a little guy, still am, but I'm like Tyrod, you know, not fast. I'm quick. Arm for days. Try me. Can catch too. Great hands. Catch with my hands. Not my chest. And anyways, so you know, Madden really taught us a lot of stuff. Zone coverages, blitzes, you know, like if you went online or you got down to the library, you look up like what is robber, what is, you know, what are the different techniques. So what you learn is really systems. And Madden really got me into doing a podcast on the Bills because you get to learn what is a West Coast offense, what is a run and shoot, what is this, who came up with this. Same with defense, what's a 4-3, what's a 3-4. So when we're talking about Shaq Lawson earlier, how, Rex used these players not to their advantage, and he really let me down. But what I like about Rex is I love that he put himself out there so that he takes the pressure off the locker room. Now, McDermott does it in a way more boring way. And then I know more than all type way is how it comes off more than it should. And that's the Bills media's fault. My point being is everything rounded out. Man and Ultimate Team, you can learn a lot of shit. You can learn how the routes work or the combination, just run the play stock. And you'll be able to, over time see where a certain section of the field both routes go. So it's an easy read. And then you can kind of translate that when you dive deeper into football. And what the media doesn't really do is go past surface level. They just want to talk basic stuff. And I'm pretty basic myself, but I'm more into the general manager side of stuff. Like, this is my favorite time of year, probably, is free agency. How are we going to build the team? The Bills are great. We have a fucking franchise quarterback. And man, Ultimate Team, I have Saffold. I have Roger Saffold on my left guard spot already. 93. We earned him through the challenges. I'll pull him up over here. Oh shit, my connection's lost. And it was pretty good because he's a beast. So when the Bills signed him, immediately after everything, Brandon Beane was able to recognize his problems. I'm proud of him. Yeah. And that left guard being available is just
and you know what? You know what? I honestly am content with the group we have at offensive line right now. I thought Rick Bates played very well last year before he got hurt. I think he's a good option at right guard. I like Spencer Brown coming in as starter for right tackle. Deion Dawkins does not get enough respect for his performance last year as at left tackle, and
he's very quiet talk. But guess what? I have him on my man and Ultimate Team too, and he's a fucking monster.
No, he's a really underappreciated left tackle. Like he is a solid left tackle. Like is good. Not the best.
Hey, guess who's back? His coach, Aaron Kromer.
Yeah.
His rookie year coach. And again, hey, I have to give credit where it's due. McDermott, thank you for listening to Numb Bills Fan Podcast from about 4 years ago. I'm like, yo, bro, you're fucking up 5 years ago, not retaining Aaron Kromer, because after Aaron Kromer left the Bills as O-line coach, this motherfucker went to the Rams. Todd Gurley turned, dude, I did a podcast, Ben, with this guy named Kevin Elliott. Comedian, and he's a Rams fan, and he turned that team around. And he went to the Super Bowl that year.
Okay, I know you love Kromer though, but
don't dare!
I keep bringing up Bobby Johnson, and you keep defending him. I'm like, what is the deal? I'll tell you. On one hand, you love Aaron Kromer. On the other hand, you said they never should have gotten rid of him. And now you have some type of infatuation with Bobby Johnson just because he left the Bills to go coach with Brian Dable.
Yo, I'm going to write this down. I'm going to write down a progression. I'm going to show it to you. So since you want to call me my bullshit, I'll fucking bring it up. Check it. Under Chan Gailey, Bobby Johnson was there for a... Let me walk you through this. Don't interrupt me. Let me dig my own grave, maybe, but I'm probably just going to teabag you, really. So Chan Gailey hired this guy on some internship, like minority fellowship program. Okay. Under Chan Gailey, I saw an offensive line that was all just piecemeal together. It was very productive. Very productive. I thought they played solid. Okay. So that's why when we look at fucking McDermott, and the first guy he hires, you want to get on your computer over there, look up this guy, Juan Castillo, and then look up this other guy, Ray Rice. And he was an Andy Reid guy. So what ended up happening is, I believe, when you listen to Richie Incognito after game 5, he said, this year that they went to the playoffs and broke the drought, he goes, we walked into the coach's room after game 5, I said, nah, we did this before. Remember, Kromer's not there. McDermott, year 1. We did this before. And they started implementing power blocking schemes and things from other years. What that says is your coach did not marry the talent and the scheme
Well,
to that. Hold on. Their first hire was Juan Castillo. So what they did is they started bringing in all sorts of people and playing Moneyball. Eventually, after ignoring the offensive line, they started playing Moneyball. So just like we're seeing on the defensive line, how we can't really see what the fuck is happening. How are all these guys like Teller, okay? All these, we talked a couple other offensive linemen last week that are around the fucking league, and now you discover that Bates actually can do something. Spencer Brown got lucky. They got lucky. That said, hey, third round pick, you're a fucking starter. Get out there, because John Miller was just fine at right guard. Hold on, I gotta back up my point about offensive line here.
Oh, I love John Miller.
You have exactly.
I forgot about him.
Exactly. So you had another guy you could have retained, played with Dawkins. You don't. You ignore it. In
Breaking news: the Bills released Beasley.
That sucks. I hate that the Bills. All right, let me round off Chan Gailey, and then I'll go or Bobby Johnson. You can't just interrupt me, you fuck. So listen.
Okay, sorry. For Cole Beasley being
Dude, no, stop. No. I'm going back to offensive line. Seriously. I'm going back to fuck that. You just asked me a question about, you want to blow you want to blow Bobby Johnson. No, I don't want to blow fucking no. Let me finish. I don't want to blow Bobby Johnson. I'm trying to tell you that the fucking GM played Moneyball at the offensive line. Mitch Morse was the best signing. He is the linchpin of the fucking team. I said that when they signed him. I did a podcast immediately about it. That's how stoked I was. They did something smart with their fucking money. Deion Dawkins has been solid, but for some reason they couldn't figure it out. But then they did. But then the players are lopsided, Ben. So then they bring in Bobby Johnson for what? The last 2 years? What have the Bills done the last 2 years, Ben? Throwing the ball a lot, really far, a lot. So when it comes down to it, I ain't blowing Bobby Johnson. He is a scapegoat from fucking McDermott for not identifying and marrying fucking talent to the coaching. Okay, because they had to bring in a different offensive line coach because Juan Castillo was fucking trash, dude. And then you had Rick Dennison, who never called an offensive play in his life as defensive coordinator of the Broncos. He couldn't get coaches, clearly. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Like, I ain't blowing Bobby Johnson. I'm just saying that, like, Aaron Kromer is a fucking man. The shit was set for cutting-edge NFL, and now they're going back to it because it's still cutting-edge NFL. And guess what? If Bobby Johnson was that bad of an O-line coach, why would Brian Dable go, yo, bro, come with me? Come with me. I'm going to New York, the biggest fucking media market in the world. I'm going to New York. I'm going to own it with Bobby Johnson. Why would he do that? And then he brings in Tyrod Taylor. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying, Ben, I don't think it's the worst. I don't think it's the worst at all. I think that the Bills are right where they need to be. Aaron Kromer is going to be able to bring in pieces. As you said last podcast, Saffold was with him. You know, like, are you stoked on Aaron Kromer or no?
I am. I'm very stoked on Aaron Kromer. I think, his history, his resume speak for himself. His reputation, what he's done. I'm stoked about Aaron Kromer. Big time pickup. I think the whole offensive coaching staff improved, even losing Brian Dable, because they retained Ken Dorsey. They still were Ken Dorsey, moving from quarterbacks coach. Who did they replace him at quarterbacks coach? Joe Brady. And look at all the success Joe Brady had with Joe Burrow senior year in high school, or senior year at LSU. Joe Brady got a really bad rep for, I think Matt Rule completely screwing him over with total lack of talent on offense, no offensive line, how many different quarterback situations, and they're gonna get rid of Brady because, it's Joe Brady's fault that they ran 6 different starting quarterbacks in 2 years. Christian McCaffrey can't stay healthy. They don't have any receivers. I mean, that's all Joe Brady's fault, isn't it? No, it's not Joe Brady's fault. Joe Brady is one of the brightest minds in offensive, in the offensive game right now. I think that was an amazing hire, bringing in Joe Brady. They also brought in Mike Shula, and a lot of people are like, oh, they're just bringing in Shula because Shula has connections to Carolina. He wasn't a great offensive coordinator. They were a power run team after he moved on. They brought in North Turner. North Turner brought in more from Cam Newton. It doesn't matter. Shula's been around the league. He has experience. He may not be, he's not Vince Lombardi. He's not the brightest, offensive mind, but he has experience. He's coached he's made a Super Bowl as an offensive coordinator. For a first-time play caller in Ken Dorsey, I think to have as loaded as an offensive coaching staff as you can build when your head coach is a defensive-minded head coach is just going to benefit this offense.
All right. So, Cole Beasley, check it. I love Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley, thank you. I think there's a lot of pressure, Ben, on Cole Beasley. And frankly, I'm about to go off right now for about a minute here. So give me the floor. The one player on the Bills to turn up and say, fuck this vaccination thing. We have just gone through a fucking psyop pretty much from these big pharma companies. I'm calling it how it is. I boycotted the games. I was not in vaccine. And for anybody out there, look into the Pfizer data, the fucking data dumps that, the courts made them release that they didn't want to release for 70 years. And allegedly, you have you could die easier getting the Pfizer vaccine than not getting it. Okay. So when you realize that Operation Warp Speed, which was Trump's pushing of this vaccine, and then all the anti-Trumpers went and got it, which I'm on team no one. I'm on team fucking human. Okay. I don't like the NFL and the Buffalo Bills and people telling me what the fuck to do with my body, especially when you look into the NFL and how it started for fucking gangsters, how you look into the NFL and then how it's trying to be gambled on, and how you look into the NFL and there's thousands of players who can't say shit. Cole Beasley put his fucking balls out there. He said, yo, fuck this. And he goes, I'll get vaccinated and be an advocate for it if Pfizer puts a percentage of its earnings from the vaccine in my wife's name. And you know what I'm saying? And then you get another guy. He said as well, only place I get booed is at our home stadium. Then some of the same people want me to take pictures and sign autographs. I thought Bills fans were the best in the world. Where'd they go? And then those same fucking idiots want to call Cole Beasley out. And, meanwhile, this dude had 82 receptions this year, last year. Okay. And it's just a killer. And, oh, by the way, he was injured, fucking injured, right? Both years, and plays his ass off, gets open in open space, catches the ball. And not for nothing, it's when you just start burning the books and you start doing fascism and you do not allow other thoughts in the stadium, maybe people like me and other people would have said, yo, why don't you shut the fuck up? Why don't you leave him the fuck alone? He's a human. We're here for football. We're here for fucking football. We're not here for politics. We're not here for the fucking support your troops shit. I'm not here for banker wars.
Right. I mean,
you know what I'm saying, bro? So as far as Cole Beasley, bro, love you, dude. Much respect. I want to give a shout out to he's got a great song called Sometimes. I'm going to put it in the description. And Cole Beasley, just thank you for your services, man. I tried,
I agree with you on everything, that Cole has done. I mean, we also got to talk about how has Cole, helped the development of Josh Allen these past 3 seasons. And people forget 2019 when Cole Beasley and John Brown both came in, Josh Allen didn't really have any receivers. He was still a young quarterback coming off of his first year in the NFL, where his top receivers were Robert Foster and Zay Jones. And everyone was saying Josh Allen is going to be one of the biggest busts of all time. He didn't really have any reliable receiving weapons. Cole Beasley signed with the team, and Beasley quickly became one of Allen's favorite targets. Next year, which was 2020, when Beasley was a All-Pro, which a lot of people thought he shouldn't have been an All-Pro. Meanwhile, he was the best slot receiver in football, and slot receiver is a position. So should the best slot receiver not be an All-Pro, because he almost had 1,000 receiving yards last year? And honestly, Dave, did that injury he suffered at the end of 2020 really end up hurting him? Because I feel like he never was the same player in Buffalo since. I mean,
No,
he
dude, they
was
took him on.
hobbled. He was
Yo,
hobbled through the playoffs, even this season.
honestly,
mean-
man, I think Gabe Davis made a point to get himself into more packages. And you have McKenzie and Frankie, dude. I think I would overall, I want to bet that Cole Beasley is liked by the team for what he did as well.
Yeah, I think
And
he is too. I
think he's like, yo, I got money. If he's going to say I got enough money, he said I got enough money. It's not about the money. It's about the other players who can't speak. This is a humans versus this is literally, bro, the same thing as a labor dispute to me. Okay, this is the same thing as a union of, these players. They might make more money than us and do whatever the fuck, get some glory, fame if you're into that, but it gets old. But dude, this guy did it, man. He really did. He put himself out there. And how many players would fucking really do that and say, I don't care? So I would feel that in the same breath, Ben, let me know what you think about this. What if he asks for his release because he doesn't want to deal with the, also because he has enough money, also because he recognizes that McKenzie, if that wide receiver room should be a brotherhood, McKenzie's coming up, really proving himself now, fucking developed nicely. Gabe Davis, why would you want to stunt development?
I think the Bills probably asked him for a pay cut. He didn't want to.
No, he asked for it. They said he could seek for a trade. He could seek a trade if he wants.
Here's what seek a trade means. Seek a trade means you're being released, and if you want to go to another team, you can start looking for it. So they never really said anything. I mean, was it fully?
This is all bullshit. This is all bullshit, fan fucking driven, and I feel like this is where McDermott comes in and Beane, and they just.
I mean, it could.
They want to have all their own positive fucking media. They want to have all their own fucking positive media, because you know what's going to happen? They're going to let us all in a stadium, and then Cole Beasley is going to be the one motherfucker there, and you know what I mean? He's got to look at these people in the fucking face. Like, I don't know. It is what it is. It's professional sports, but it sucks, right? It just sucks because I don't buy that the Bills fans are the best fucking thing ever either. They stadium sold out. I went to the Ravens game in 2019. Top team in the league, packed. So, OJ Howard, did you talk about him? I think you did, right? And I just
no, I didn't even get to OJ. I wanted OJ since he was drafted.
So tight end OJ Howard on Tampa Bay. We've talked about
6'6",
him. He was up there with Ebron, right? Around a couple years, within the last couple of years of Ebron. So I'm like I don't want to say overhyped, but tall, big tight end that we want, right? As we see Gronk just shred us.
More almost like a wide receiver than a tight end type. Kind of like what Kyle Pitts is, except Pitts is even more of a freak. So from what I've seen, Tampa really did not use him properly or use him at all. I think the best way would be to have him out wide, because I think they're probably going to just still use Knox more as a traditional tight end. So have him go down the seam. I mean, having a weapon like that in the play action for Josh Allen on top of, Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. I mean, right now, the Bills' top three receiving options are McKenzie, Davis, and Diggs. That's on wide receivers. That's not tight end. So after they got rid of Beasley, they're going to have to add another slot receiver, whether it's through the draft or free agency, because I don't think they're going to roll with McKenzie as a starting receiver. I think he has a role with this team. I think they could introduce his role, but I don't think his role, and that being of like a return man, a gadget type receiver, I don't think that's going to change. I don't think if they do increase McKenzie's workload, I don't think he's going to be a number 2 or number 3 receiver. He's going to probably
he's an X factor, man. He proved himself in that game that Cole was
no,
out,
no,
man.
no.
He really did.
I'm not saying he didn't, but I'm saying I just don't think that's his role on the team. I think if you give him more snaps, he's still an X factor. He's like Debo. Think of him like Debo, maybe like Debo Jr.
What he already does. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I'm saying he has a niche role in this
Yes.
team. He has a
Right.
specific role. He isn't Stephon Diggs. He isn't Gabriel Davis. He's
Did you see the
Isaiah
clip?
McKenzie. He brings something that those other guys don't bring.
And that's why I think Beasley didn't mind leaving, because he sees these guys coming up, man. Why take from him? He had his opportunities. Ben, you got anything else, dude? Because I'm still for OJ Howard. That was somebody that Adam Deacon was stoked on.
I love OJ Howard. I mean, I'm honestly surprised that Brady didn't get more out of him, but I saw I forgot who tweeted this. I'm gonna have to go back and check, but basically I think a lot of the Howard stuff in Tampa, at least the last couple of years, was Arians totally not using him at all. So I know he had a ruptured Achilles, but I think a lot of it was on Arians, and you can just see.
Isn't it a $5 million deal, 3.5 guaranteed or something? Like a very affordable. They gave Brad Smith years ago. My man Chan gave like $4 million a year to fucking play 3 plays a game.
Yeah,
Tyler
they gave him like
$4 million a year.
1 year, like 3.2 million guaranteed or something. So extremely affordable, and honestly, like if I'm gonna give a tight end money, number 2 tight end, if I'm gonna sign a guy, I would rather take OJ Howard than Rob Gronkowski. That's just my opinion. Howard is younger.
Bro, I get you, but like clearly he's a smart football player. There might be some things behind the scenes. I need to know the context more. I think it's if Arians isn't playing him and Gronkowski, you're Brady. Gronkowski can read a defense. He can do certain things and get in the right spot. You don't got to teach him shit.
I mean,
you got to win now, bro.
There could be more. I mean, we'll see if the Bills. He's a number 2 tight end. If the Bills
all day, and he's young. What is he? 27, maybe?
Yeah. And if the Bills are able to get something out of him, because here's the thing, Gronk isn't a long-term option. Like you sign Gronk, you get 1 or 2 years out of him. At least with OJ Howard, if you sign him and he turns out really good, you can sign him long-term, and then you have your 2 starting tight ends. Don't even have to worry about it with him and Knox.
Dude, I think it's a good pairing. I'm curious to see what the offense looks like. But I want to wrap up. So behind me, you have Numb Bills fan shirts, which is this logo, okay, on a black shirt. And then hold on, here's a tank top from Rob Antonucci. Shout out, Rob. The wrinkles on this make it great. I definitely made this merch 2 years ago, Ben, and I did nothing with it. So it's a high quality tank top, next level. You want comfy shit? I get compliments on my merch. I'm not even a Bills fan.
We should have all worn those in Miami. I don't know why not. If all of us had those Numb Bills fan tank tops in Miami, bro, it would have been over.
I know. I didn't even think about it because I'm not smart. I just get lazy. I make work, and obviously, like, I would love this to be able to pay for itself. It costs over $300, believe it or not, for the website and the server space. And I've always wanted .com for this whole shadow ban thing that was going on, like the whole Cole Beasley shit we were talking about. So, again, Ben, thank you so much. We'll find you on Twitter, Ben with the _GR.
No. My Instagram has the underscore. My Twitter doesn't. Christ.
Okay, whatever. Ben Grimaudo, BenGrimaudo. Find him everywhere. He's young. He's looking to talk to people or something. So whatever.
I'm talking now.
He's talking now. But okay, I'm your host on this one, David, with other co-host Ben. So take care. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, David J Palermo, and follow Numb Bills Fan everywhere. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Oh yeah, subscribe. And if you're interested in the shirt, you want to see what it looks like, get your ass onto YouTube. This has been a live YouTube recording. And yeah,
We're coming for
koozie, tank top.
Joe Rogan's spot on Spotify too. So
This is true.
yeah. So we have a little bit of competition. We're working against with Rogan, but
Yeah, maybe they'll pay us.
Yeah.
So probably not. Well, toodaloo.